All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AFAPWA's second action circle in the Foundational Toolbox for Life cycle. Today is August 22nd, 2020, and the moon is waxing towards full. During this time of the moon cycle, we focus on exploring possibilities for what we are going to do and how we're going to move forward in the world. It is still August, and so it's still back to school month, and a lot of us are getting ready for what that is going to look like or already started. National Breastfeeding Month, National Eye Exam Month, National Immunization Awareness Month, and today is also National Tooth Fairy Day and World Plant Milk Day. So with that, my name is Abigail Twyman, and I'm joining you today from my home that I share with my husband, Dustin, and our dog, Tur Zeppelin, in the community of Knockety Bay. Our Alaskan Oasis is located on northern Prince of Wales Island in southeast Alaska, which is located in Tlingit-Ani, the land of the Tlingit people, which they also shared with the Haida and Tsimshian, specifically in what is the ancestral homeland of the people of Tuxacan, or the Coast Town tribe. I'm honored to be able to share this space with my ancestors and the ancestors of those indigenous to the land I currently inhabit, who fill my soul with the fire that fuels my action. I am dedicated to remembering forward and passing along their immense wisdom for the benefit of future generations and the protection of our shared home. I'm also deeply honored to share this space with all the beautiful humans and change catalysts who have been inspired to join our pod. And I am dedicated to using the privileged body I was born into and this platform to catalyze action. And I thank you for your commitment to acting in the service of creating peace for yourself, your family, your community, and all inhabitants of Mother Earth. We are honored again to have Alex. He's leading and guiding us during this cycle. And Alex, I will pass the role to you.
Thank you, Abby. Let's see, here we go. So should I go ahead and set the intentions, or do I go down to establish agreements?
Yep, you can go ahead and set the intentions first.
Okay, let's see. The action circle is all about learning how to have more effective conversations about challenging topics, as well as effectively collaborating with others who share our vision, mission, and values. When we come to circle, we assume the answers to all our questions are within the circle because we brought the right group of people together with a collective wealth of knowledge and experience. Our guiding theory is that our respective change efforts within our personal and professional lives, as well as our movements and organizations, have had limited impact on the overall trajectory of the data. Therefore, it's incumbent upon us to adjust our approach. By bringing voices together and guiding the conversation in a new yet very old way, we have the potential to develop plans of action which are much more likely to get us to the end goal, a truly just, equal, and peaceful world, the way it used to be and the way it always should have been. Our goal is to catalyze the spread of action circles around the world in the service of creating peace through collective action. Today we are continuing our conversation about mindsets and attributes that describe how we approach problems and what we can do to get better about understanding each other and the strengths we bring to those problems, and to get better at solving our own problems and helping other people to solve the ones that we all face. So let's see, the guiding questions here are: in what ways do you use different mindsets and attributes in your own life? And then how do you see other people using them in their lives? So we'll be discussing these questions in this action circle here, and we'll do a brief refresher on the mindsets and the attributes as well. Let's see. Before we begin the conversation, it's important to establish the agreements that will guide us and protect us within the circle. So these 6 agreements are the starting point for the action circles, and they belong to the circle. They will be reviewed at the beginning of each circle, and any member of the circle can propose additions or modifications. Number 1, well, every action circle will be recorded and made public. The stories shared within the circle should only be shared in a way that protects, uplifts, inspires, and empowers others. Number 2, we listen for understanding. We're mindful of how our words and actions impact the flow of the circle and take responsibility for addressing any hurts we may cause. Number 3, we know we won't solve these complex problems overnight and are committed to learning and unlearning so we can be more impactful with our actions. Number 4, from time to time, we will pause to regulate our thoughts or focus. Silent counsel can be called for by any member of the circle using the chat function. Number 5, the chat function is reserved for contributions from those who choose typing as their preferred mode of communication, and for gems or quotes harvested by scribes, any of us. And here we are. And also, if you are, well, let me start over. Also, you are always welcome to pass by just saying that you pass or by typing pass into the chat if you feel that that you don't have anything to say at the moment. Number 6, whenever possible, we take a pause before speaking and use sound verbal behavior, measured and deliberate speech, when sharing our perspectives within the circle. Let's see. I'll make a first round in the circle to establish the agreements and check in. Introduction, land acknowledgement, acknowledge agreements, and let's see, feelings question. Let's go with feelings sound. What do your feelings sound like today? Let's see. So my name is Alex Weisenfels. I'm an eccentric existentialist philosopher and high-functioning escapist. I live in Madison, Wisconsin, which was originally settled and inhabited by the Ho-Chunk people. And I acknowledge the agreements and feeling sound. Kind of, I want to say kind of twangy, but more subdued, not super high strung, kind of like a bass twang, something like that. Let's see, and I pass the talking piece to Abby.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. I am Abigail Twyman, and I am currently residing in Knockety Bay, Alaska, which is the ancestral home of the Tuxcan tribe, which they are Tlingit people. I acknowledge the agreements, and my feeling sound today is like whooshy. I don't know if that's like the sound of water just whoosh. I'm whooshy today. And I pass it to Deepinder.
Okay, yes. I'm Deepinder. I am from New Jersey, originally from India, born and brought up in North India. So I really appreciate the land acknowledgement of India and a land acknowledgement of Lenni Lenape Indians who lived in this South Jersey area where I live. And I acknowledge all the agreements, and my emotion sound today is psst. This is what it is. I'm a little high-strung person, so yeah, I am. Since morning, I had a tough conversation with my husband, my son, and my daughter. I went for a walk. I recorded a live video for Mindful ABA. I run that group, and Abby is over there. So sorry. So I've been like. I passed the talking piece to Sheena.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sheena, and I currently reside in Tucson, Arizona, in the Sonoran Desert, which was originally inhabited by the Hohokam. And I acknowledge the agreements. I am a mom, a yogi, a BCBA, all kinds of things. And my feeling sound today is like hummingbirds. Like some of them like click, 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 and some of them have really distinct, like little specific sounds that are just really energetic. So that's my feeling sound, like hummingbirds.
I'm Mary Wong. I'm in Madison, Wisconsin, which is the home of the Ho-Chunk, but I also like to acknowledge the Menominee, among whom I grew up in the northern part of the state. I agree to the acknowledgements. Why am I blanking on everything? I'm really sort of jingly jangly today. I have already tried again for the 20th time to start cleaning my kitchen and run into the same problems I always do. I've given an exam this morning and scheduled 2 others because the technology has not worked out as we'd hoped. So I'm pretty jingly jangly. It's not a bad sound, but might be slightly annoying. And I pass to Maximus.
Good morning. Nice to be here again. And sorry, I got a little late. I forgot about the time. Yes. So I acknowledge the way in which we are together in this group. You know, the rules that we have, and very happy with the way we talk in this group. And so I also want to acknowledge the land on which we live here in Pico, which used to be a part of the Maidu tribe. And maybe you've heard about the last Yahi. There's a whole story about that. This man that was kind of like one of the last members of that group. There's also a trail that goes up in Upper Bidwell. It's called the Yahi Trail. And you can actually sit in caves there, and where they used to grind the corn and stuff like that, you know, and it's just really nice to be there. My word for today is just music. There's nice sounds from a violin, and I like violin, or like viola. Viola is kind of like a bigger violin, and so I agree with the agreement, feeling sound, and I'm happy to be here. So thank you. And then I pass it on to next. Sorry.
Back to Alex.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here. Let's see. So today, go back to the schedule here. So here we've got a centerpiece. Not this one. This is my talking piece. Just pull this one up. This is going to be rather similar to the other one. And I should make sure that I can share my screen here. Yes, it worked. There we go. So this centerpiece is yet another picture that I had found on Pixabay that I'd used to illustrate the mindsets and just how it sort of works that people use them. The idea being that people.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Is it not working?
No, it's just.
It's
just a
let's
black
try
screen.
this.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, maybe it was still loading when I paused it. There we go. So, to me, this represents people using different mindsets through action, because the hands sort of look like they're moving. You may have noticed from the previous meeting that I tend to think of mindsets with sort of classical element themes. And so the trick with that is that it's not something that you can just charge up without doing anything. You have to actually do something or think about something or get feedback. And through that action that a mindset can really manifest itself. So I like this image because it's very well done in terms of special effects without being too detailed. It makes me think of just people using mindsets and combining them and getting ready to put them into practice, that sort of thing. It's got that combining opposites theme to it. So I don't want to speak too much about it because it may mean something different to everyone, and I'd hope that's somewhat the point. Let's see, here we go. And then I did bring some music. Wondering, should we do the music first and then just go through the recap of the mindsets, or should we do the recap of the mindsets first and then we can sort of think of them with the music?
So we can open that up to the group. Deepinder also had a guided meditation. I don't know when in the
Oh, okay.
cycle you wanted or during this
Does
gathering.
the music have words?
It does actually. Well, it has subtitles because the words are actually in Japanese.
No problem.
So, yeah, that changes the plans a bit. We could do a guided meditation now and then save the music for the next meeting. That could work too.
As you guys wish. Yeah. As it suits everyone. Okay.
Okay. So we can do the guided meditation now and then just a brief recap of the mindsets and attributes. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great. And then if we wanted to use the music as a moment to take a moment of silent reflection, we could also do that as well. So we could do guided meditation, review the mindsets, music with some silent reflection.
Okay.
We find our comfortable position. You may close your eyes or leave them half the way open as it suits you. Just let your body settle in, let your mind settle in. Today we are going to do a guided visualization. So imagine you are sitting by a stream. It's a beautiful day. Cool air is blowing. You're sitting by the stream. You're just watching how the stream is flowing, and there are trees around the stream, and there are leaves in the stream, and they're flowing down. So you're just observing the stream, how the stream naturally, each and every wave is different. And then it comes and passes away. And then a new wave comes and a new water comes and it passes away. And it just continues to happen. But now, your mind is not going to stay on the stream. It's going to wander away to the thoughts. So when a thought comes, you just put that thought down on one of the leaves that are in the stream. and let that leaf just float away. And then you bring your attention back on the stream, how the water is looking, how it's sounding, how each and every wave of the water is different than the other one. And they just go down. And then another thought comes. And when you realize you have hooked onto a thought, put that thought back on the leaf again and let that leaf float away. And you bring your attention back on watching the stream. The sound of the water, the color of the water, the wind on your ear, on your face. And then your mind wanders away again, probably. And another thought pops up. Or a same thought which popped up earlier might pop up again. You just gently lay it on the leaf again and let it float away. It is just the nature of the mind to wander away. We don't question the thoughts. We don't judge them. We allow them and we let them be and we let them pass. As in that stream, the leaves are and the water are just moving and changing and passing. In the same way, all our thoughts are temporary. They are going to come and pass away. As long as we just allow them, we observe them, and we let them pass away. We don't fuse with them. We don't fight them. We let them be. Sometimes the water in the stream might have a stronger current, and sometimes it might have a little lighter current. Sometimes it might be a little noisy, or it can be a little quieter. But the same water doesn't stay there, it just keeps floating down. It keeps changing. So are our thoughts. They just come and let them go. We allow, and then we let them go, go. I will give you just these last couple of minutes where you can sit in a bliss and watch that stream and let your thoughts float by on those leaves in quiet. We will wiggle our toes, wiggle our fingers. When you're ready, we gently open our eyes up. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it for the opportunity. Thank you, Abby. And Alex, thank you.
Thank you, Deepinder.
No problem. Anyone has any questions? Sorry, I always forget to ask that. No, we're good? Okay.
Let's see. That's so peaceful. I don't want to break the moment. Let's see. So we can transition to what we just did. I'll do a brief recap of the mindsets and attributes, since I know, Deepinder, you weren't able to make the last meeting here. So this will just have a brief description of what sorts of things these are here. Here we go. I'm going to go back a bit. There we are. The mindsets are different. The mindsets are different shapes that thoughts can take. And so this one here is the one that we just used, observation mindset, which deals with absorbing moments. It resets us and recenters us so that we can clear our minds and be able to approach things fresh. And here we get into the primary mindsets, which come in opposing pairs. We've got operation mindset, which shapes effort. Everything, we practice things so that we learn them subliminally. And its opposite, organization mindset, which deals with allocating effort, prioritizing things, keeping track of details. And then we've got synthesis mindset, which deals with generating ideas, imagination, that sort of thing. And its opposite, analysis, which deals with evaluating ideas, keeping track of consistency. And then we can combine these primary elements into things like semantics. Semantics mindset combines operation and analysis, and it deals with simplifying interactions, applying labels and rules. It has an opposite, empathy mindset. An empathy mindset individualizes interactions, and it deals with impressions, feelings, and subtle things, interacting with systems that change as you interact with them. Or I should say, empathy mindset combines operation and synthesis. We've got two more of the basic mindsets. We've got strategy mindset, which deals with fortifying paths. It combines organization and analysis to see contingencies in advance and make sure to prevent the ones that we don't want. And then it has an opposite of tactics mindset, which deals with redirecting paths. That combines organization and synthesis to see clever ways to repurpose what we have. Those are all the basic mindsets there. And then we also had 4 basic attributes which we use to describe the different strengths that people can develop with different mindsets. We've got initiative attribute, which deals with how easily you can start something, how casually you can decide that you want to pursue something that may not have an immediate reward. And then the opposite of initiative is resilience, which deals with how well you can continue something even when it's stressful, to be able to continue maintaining your quality of performance even when things get chaotic. And then we have mobility attribute, which deals with how quickly you can have a meaningful effect, how well you can start something, accomplish something meaningful, and wrap it up and move on to something else. And the opposite of that is intensity, which deals with how far you can push the scope of the effect that you have, how big of an impact you can make. And one of the major points, all of them except observation have an opposite. It actually works better when people are able to combine opposites, because then they get to work together. Oh, somebody has posted into chat. Oh, okay, there we are. Excellent. So that's just the basic recap. And does anyone have any questions so far? I'll look for a raise of hands if I can see that here. I'll go ahead and stop sharing so that I can see the hands more easily. Okay, it doesn't look like anyone has any questions. So the question that I'd like to start with, going around the circle, is where we see ourselves using these mindsets and attributes. To start off with, here we go. For instance, I use the mobility attribute of analysis mindset in my current day job. I help people navigate websites and figure out why things aren't working properly. And so I have to be mobile. I have to shift what I'm doing, because it's going to be a different problem each time. And so I have to listen for information and quickly figure out something that adds information to the problem, and I build on that until I reach a solution. And analysis, because I have to figure out the chain of cause and effect that leads to a problem. I have to be able to rule out what is not a problem based on what I see. So I have to evaluate what's consistent with the evidence. So just as an example, that's a way that I use that. And I pass the question to Abby.
I think it would be really helpful to take the time to listen to the song that you prepared. And so we have time to really kind of process this and think about that question. Because it's a really meaty one that I want to make sure people have time to like bring their thoughts together.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So if we're going to listen to this song, then I probably shouldn't put the subtitles on so that people don't get distracted reading them, because it's a very lovely song. Let's see. Just make sure that I can share. I'm looking to see if I can share audio only. Oh, actually,
It's in the
it
advanced
doesn't
setting.
matter if I do that.
Yeah. So if you go to advanced sharing options, it should give you the option to share your audio only.
I don't see it, but I guess it doesn't matter because I can always just share a completely different screen. Oh, share computer sound. That's important. I will need that. And let's see. I want to make sure that people can hear this. And go back. Okay, so if we're all good, if I'm the only one who can't hear it, that's fine.
Yeah, it's not playing anymore.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
paused it just so we
Okay.
could start from the beginning.
Okay,
We're all
cool.
good?
Awesome.
All right, here we are. Let's go.
So it stops playing when you do that. So I think if you leave that window open.
Oh, sorry. I think it was because I muted myself. Okay. I'll just leave it like that. How's that?
It's not playing.
Does that all work?
No, it's not playing.
Still?
Yeah.
I'm now confused.
So before it actually had the player window open.
Pause share. Oh, okay. There we are. I'll just leave it like that then. How's that? Does that work? There we go. Not sure if I stopped it at the right moment there. Oh, yeah, a friend of mine had me watch, yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
A friend of mine had me watch the movie, and it's a really great movie, and that song just jumped out at me as probably I don't know, it's just a really lovely song.
So is it Sparkle is the movie? Or
The movie is
Radwimp?
called Your Name.
Oh, Your Name.
Radwimps is the band, Sparkle's
Okay.
the song.
Okay, and Your Name is the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was very nice, Alex. Thank you for sharing.
Hey, you're very welcome. Glad you liked it.
Yeah, that was beautiful. It gave me chills. I took a little bit of Japanese when in college, and it's been one of my dreams is to like actually revisit that and learn the language and visit one day. So thank you for sharing. Okay, so is it my turn now? Are we circling?
Oh yes, yeah. How you use mindsets and attributes.
Yeah. Awesome. So it was really interesting. So Alex and I don't know when we like connected in life. I feel like it was, within the past year or so, maybe more. But when Alex had first had presented his concepts to me, I had read some of his blogs and some of his writing, and I was very struck by them. But I never took the time to really engage in any self-reflection about how, like, I had that sense that yes, these are, they're great and they apply to my life and apply to life in general, but I didn't take the time to kind of reflect about kind of where I see them in my life. And as I was reflecting, I just wrote down the words, and when I kind of connected with one was like, yes, I really see this as me. It happened to be like all of the second one. So for instance, so like operation organization, I'm like, okay, strong organization. Synthesis analysis, strong analysis. And it was like that for all of them, which I just found, just using my observation mindset, I found that to be very interesting. So, and it makes me think about like, ooh, how does this apply to what we're going to be talking to next week about, like, where do I not see myself, see myself using these? So like as a behavioral scientist and in my training, and I think even thinking back more into just like my life in general, and having a history of trauma. And trauma makes you kind of causes this behavioral pattern of hypervigilance. And which is like, I mean, that's a strong, observation mindset where you're just kind of like sitting back and you're just, attending to all of the stimuli in the environment. And so I feel like that's where I've lived a lot of my life, is in just like this silent observer of the world, and just like taking in all of this information. And so, I'm like, I feel like the observation part of me is really strong, being able to clearly describe what it is that I see in observable and measurable terms. Like that's part of my history growing up, and it's part of my history in terms of my training and education. And that has like strengthened, I think, these skill sets of, being very organized and wanting things to be like just so, and very precise, and analyzing things to the nth degree, to, probably like over analyzing things and getting stuck. Being empathetic and like feeling. Even said this during a meeting with our new kind of team at school, and I was like, I'm the empath in the group, and I can just like, I just feel everybody else's, like I feel their anxiety, I feel, whatever, it's like good, bad, otherwise, it's just like it's like I can feel myself like embodying that. And I've always kind of envisioned myself as like a chameleon, where it's like I'll take everybody's, like I'll take it on, like I'll take on your pain and make it my pain, I'll take on your happiness and make it my happiness. And like I don't know that that's necessarily a good or a healthy thing. It's just, it is what it is, something that I've been able to kind of understand more. And then like the tactics versus strategy. Like as a behavioral scientist, I feel like I was trained in like the things to do, but not necessarily like the when and the why and the how. So it's like I've got, a bunch of tricks up my sleeve, but not always like applying them in the right places and in the right way. Resilience, I feel, it's like my history has been like built this strong body of armor, where it's like I feel like I'm like, tough as nails, and I can do it's like I can just like I can bear the brunt of anything. But my initiative has been, it's that always hesitating. It's like, so I'm just sitting here like in my coat of armor, just like taking it all, but not necessarily being able to move. And then mobility versus intensity. Again, it's that intensity where I felt like I've had a lot of, it's like I have a lot of things to say, but not necessarily the mobility to like bring those thoughts and that power into something that is kind of, that moves and influences movement. So those are my reflections, where it's like I feel I'm like, in reflection, my analysis of my assessment of myself is like very kind of lopsided to the, to that end of the spectrum of those mindsets. So, and I will pass to Deepinder.
Okay, so going over the mindsets are the shapes of our thoughts can take observation. So being a BCBA and being a person as well, I just make observation of the environment. And based on that, I have seen I change my behaviors, and I talk, based on what is in my environment. That's where my observation plays a role. I organize my time and my thought process and my behaviors based on my environment, analyze it, and based on the analysis, I make my time commitments and the required actions which I need to take based on that, what is. But keeping my present moment awareness, I am always, even when I'm at a work as a behavior analyst or as a mom or as a wife, or I teach a lot of meditation, even running my Mindful ABA group, everything. I try to keep empathy as my top priority. Before I am an analyst, I am a human first. I'm a person first. I am that before anything in the world, right? So if I can't be kind and loving, who cares? I'm a good BCB or a bad BCB? Like who gives a damn? I didn't even do the first role which I'm given by this universe to play, being empathetic towards my own species at least, which is humans. Like, you know, I truly believe in that. Like, yes, we need to be empathetic towards animals and nature and earth, but I need to be empathetic towards my own species first and foremost. And so that is, I think, when it comes to talking about any anything else, that is that I play first and then I move on to the other parts of it. So strategy and tactics is that I'm always creating lists, I'm writing, and I try to stick to my commitments. I say, yes, I would be there. I try to be there, and I respect that. Taking initiative and resilience, I am a risk taker. I love to take risk. I love that adventure. I go out of my comfort zone, and there are many examples of it. I step out into the world without doing makeup. If anything society expects I should be in that stereotype, I'm not going to do it because society expects that. I will do it if I want to do it. But if I'm not in the mood of a makeup, I'll go to a party without makeup. My hair is not done, it's not done. I won't smell bad. I brush my teeth, you know. But, and this is who I am. And I think it, you know, it made me more and more, what you say, I can't find the right English word. I can think of a Hindi word. Like it puts me on fire, you know. I think I can take the world on because I am myself. And talking about going out of my comfort zone, I try to do the things out of my comfort zone. And that helps me grow and connect with many new people, find new people. And example is, sorry, I'm not plugging in. It's just my Facebook page. There are some Abby's member there and Maximus is there. I don't know if any of other you guys are there. I put many live videos on it where I'm early in the morning, woke up, went for a walk, and I just put it out there. So that is another little example of going out of, you know, having a mobility and taking an initiative, that part. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Appreciate it. I will pass it on to Sheena.
So Alex, I have to say this is one where, you know, I would like to sit longer with it and be more contemplative about all of the different mindsets and attributes. But I can start out by saying that when Abby was speaking, Abby, like we can almost just replicate everything you just said through your lens, and that's me. Through, you know, as a behavior analyst. So maybe I'll look at it and just expand it, and I'll go through, and maybe this is just a good exercise for me, starting place for me to look at each one and say, oh, this is where I think this might be useful in my life. So how about I just go through one by one? And so I'll start, you know, starting with that observation mindset. This observation mindset, I believe to be something very useful at the beginning of the day. Right off the bat, you know, what's here? you know, how am I? How are things? You know, just checking in. But also during times where there's high emotion, like heightened emotional states, you know, require recentering before you take action, so that you aren't reacting in the moment, which can sometimes hurt someone else, or maybe result in you know, doing something that you regret. But with this observation mindset, you can see what's there, put a little space, and then choose to act, because you took the time to observe. The operation mindset, that with the intuition, although I lean definitely more toward organizational mindset, honestly, if things don't feel organized in here, out here is going to feel and disorganized. So I have to have things very, I have to have it make sense in a very concrete way in my brain. But I have to say, in order to stay true to myself, the operation mindset really comes in handy, because listening to your gut, and I know that's, you know, thank you, honey. Listening to your intuition, I do believe there's something to that. When something doesn't seem quite right. And I do think there's something to that as we move through life. And I can see how it's opposite of that organizational mindset, and how they can sort of balance each other out. The synthesis piece, this fire, this free thinking, I see this as being absolutely necessary when you want to make a difference in the world. If you are a change agent, when you are a creative. So, you know, the beautiful thing about being creative is that it doesn't necessarily need to serve a purpose. It doesn't really serve a purpose, but it gives you it feeds your soul. And hopefully that makes sense. Maybe that makes sense to other people. But it kind of, if you look at it from a lens of, there's no pressure here, I'm just going to let things flow and go. And sometimes just things, you know, when you take the pressure off of you, or whatever pressure is coming from outside of you off, I can really see where this synthesis piece could be helpful. And the ideas will flow, and you will be fulfilled. So I see it being beneficial for fulfillment. But the analysis too, as its opposite, just, you know, obviously, I analyze everything because I'm so observational. Just like I told you, it was going to be a repeat of Abby. And, but, you know, because I'm so used to really looking at something, my brain automatically goes to wanting to analyze it, which is extremely beneficial for ensuring integrity and, you know, that you are doing things so that you're not harming others. So that analysis piece, and also it's fun to analyze things. I don't know if anyone has ever gotten, stop analyzing the movie, just watch it. But then there's these secondary mindsets, which are super interesting, where you're combining things. Again, Abby, that empathy thing, I'm the same way. And in fact, because I know myself so much to be an empath, I actually have been told by different people, that to, find a visual when I am going out, because I just soak in what's going on with people. And that, it's very important for that empathy mindset to be there, because that's what drives our support of other humans. And it humbles us. It puts us all on the same playing field. It's like, I know suffering too. I also know joy. Empathy just kind of, I feel like, is the thing that unites us as humans. Strategy and tactics. These I see to be extremely helpful for projects, or if you have something that you're working on to put out in the world, or something that you're working on for work, but also just in daily life, like interacting even with just your family. I can see using those would be really beneficial. I'm trying to think of a specific example, but one isn't popping up for me right now. And then these attributes used to describe our mindsets. Again, Abby, I'm sorry. I mean, thank you for understanding, but it's just really, it's interesting. I think our brains are a little similar. But I have a tendency to think, and I'll write down my thoughts and think, and I get ideas, and it's just, they swirl and they get me excited, and I put them down, but then I freeze. And I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I'm like, I don't know how to get this out. I feel like I need some training wheels. I need some support. So that mobility thing is something that the starting, I feel like, is the hardest part. The generating ideas is the easy part. The difficult part is putting it into action. And, the intensity, like how big of an effect you can have, that is, I can see intensity being really helpful, but also something to be careful of, because you could get wrapped too deeply in it. That could create I could see that creating a lot of, I really wanted this to have this effect on this huge effect, but also, I don't know, now I'm just rambling on. I'm talking too much now. What's that phrase that we use? Why am I still talking? Waste. Okay, so I will pass this on to the lovely Mary.
Thank you. As often happens, I slightly misunderstood the brief and thought that I should be like putting it in a specific context. So I was thinking a lot about, okay, so everything I think about in the context of teaching, and secondarily, effective altruism. And so I'm gonna go with that. And I was thinking specifically about it's our first week back, the first week of the semester. We're not in classes yet, but we are testing. My program does enormous amounts of placement, some of it very high stakes, like we decide whether or not people's English is good enough for them to teach, which can be the difference between them getting financing for the semester and not. And so it's a big deal, and we want to do it right. And other people in my program have run into a lot of stress around this. And so part of what I've been thinking a lot about this week is, how do I manage the group stress? How do I relieve people who just have way too many things to do? How do I create a buffer between higher ups who are losing their minds in front of lower downs, who don't need that sense, that lack of confidence? I think, like, they need to think that things are going to be okay. And when we in the administration get a little crazy, that's not great for the teachers that work under us, I think. So I'm thinking about all of these things. And so that's going to kind of be my context. And I'm going to start with empathy. I am not a natural empath. I spend much of my time really struggling to understand how other people have the feelings that they have around a topic, or how a student persists in a behavior that makes no sense to me. And so I have to get myself an analysis mindset and start examining the implications for others, but also, like, how did this person get to this point? How did this person come to a place where they feel this way or behave this way, or are insisting upon this thing? And so I do think empathy is terribly important. I think that goal setting of any kind is almost impossible if you don't understand the feelings of the people that you're trying to work with, trying to help, trying to teach, trying to have an effect on. I also noticed both Abby and Sheena said they're great organizers. I'm kind of the opposite of that. In my job, I have to create blueprints now and like pretty detailed schedules for teaching, which I've never had to do before. I tend to be a person who does most of my planning after I've met my actual students and found out what their needs are. I mean, obviously I've been doing this for 40 years. There's an organization in my head. The courses have their standard organization that everybody sort of follows. But for me, a lot of planning happens on, I won't say on the fly exactly, but I need to have a sense of operation, I guess, like what shapes our efforts, what shape the situation is going to take. For me, is not something I'm going to have all organized and put in place in advance. What's the other thing I wanted to go to? I also spend, I think, a lot of time in strategy mode. There's something I learned at a CFAR workshop called pre-hindsight. Is that familiar to you, Alex? And I really love this technique. It's really great for me because I do tend to put off the planning of things. And when other people are relying on you to hand them this blueprint that's ready to go, you can't do that. And so I try to use this pre-hindsight method, which to me seems really a lot like what Alex is talking about with strategy, which is just to say, okay, it's mid-semester and it's chaos. What happened? What did I fail to see? What went wrong? And often it's really easy to say what went wrong. Whereas like standing here at the front going, what do I need to do is so much harder than to like put myself at the middle or the end of the semester and go, okay, that didn't work. Why didn't it work? And so I think, again, this isn't something that naturally comes to me, but it's something I've been working on because I think it's important, this kind of strategizing. I think I have found over the last 6 months that Alex's tactics, what he talks about as tactic. Notice I noticed myself spending more time in the secondary section than the primary section of the mindsets. And I think it's possibly because they're more specific to me, or they just, anyway, when I was taking notes last week, I wrote MacGyver next to the tactics section. And I thought, I would not years ago have said that I'm that fly by the seat of the pants. Here, use this thing that we have lying around to, you know, make our Rube Goldberg device. But I'm finding I'm surprisingly good at that. I mean, we had kind of a catastrophic failure of a testing system that was supposed to be up and running by Monday and is still a mess. And we had a meeting and people were tearing their hair out and I'm like, nope, look, see, we got this that we made before. And all the way along, I've been talking about, okay, here's plan B, here's plan C, like all summer when they were doing this, because I've worked with those people before in the tech, you know, that do it. And sometimes things go very well and they're stressed out too. Sometimes things go very badly. That was my anticipation. And so I'm finding that I'm thinking more in this time about, okay, now that's not going to work and that's not going to work and that's not going to work. Or I've been doing it this way for 20 years, but I can't do it that way this semester. What else have I got in my arsenal? And so I'm having a lot of fun with tactics, I guess, in this crazy period of time. And I'm also finding myself more mobile than I'd expected in terms of attributes. I think I have more mobility than I thought I did. That if something's not working out, and especially technically, I've made this commitment to not losing it myself when things go badly wrong, when people's connections drop off, when my connection drops off, when nobody can hear us and we spend 10 minutes fiddling around with the sound. I just have decided I'm going to be calm about that. That's part of our new reality. And that, I think that's created a lot of mobility that I didn't have before, because I used to like I've got to make this work. And you know stuff's not going to work. So you're like, okay, how can I change directions to make this work for everybody? And again, to get us to the goals, I think if I'm clear enough on the goals, if I spend enough time goal setting, all these other things, I find I get the tools that I need, and I slip into the mindset that I need a little more readily than I would when I'm like working with someone else's goals, or when I'm not thinking quite so carefully about what the long-term goals are. A lot of times you're like, beginning of the semester, I've taught this class 15 times before. You know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time thinking about it until the students show up in the room. And I'm finding I'm forced to do that on the behalf of others and to calm others. And so I'm finding the right mindsets, I think, in a way that's kind of new for me, and it's kind of empowering. There's one last thing. I made lots of notes as other people were talking and I started to figure out what exactly we were supposed to be doing and thinking about in this session, and I find myself so often writing, oh, I have to do this with other people. I have to do this with other people. Like Sheena said, oh, I am really good at coming up with ideas. So initiative is easy for me, but then like deciding what to do and how to do it is harder. And I was like, whoops, I'm just the opposite. Like I'll be really just dying for a brainstorm. And sometimes I'll just text one of my colleagues and say, give me 10 minutes in the BBC classroom so I can bounce some ideas off you. And they'll, you know, they're like, oh, you do this, you could do that. And I'm like, great, I've got it. And now I'll go implement it. But I'm not the one who comes up with all these cool ideas. And so I think my own mindset is sometimes kind of irrelevant or a stumbling block if I can't incorporate the mindsets of others and go, hey, I need you to sort of give me a sounding board, lend me your creativity for a few moments, lend me your experience for a few moments. I think that I've kind of exhausted what I wanted to do, and I'd like to hear from Maximus.
Thank you, Mary. And thank you, everybody. It's really interesting what you all are saying. And I can really relate to a lot of what everybody is talking about. And so at this time in the last week, I've sort of been transitioning to kind of coming back to the reality, because Wednesday we had our faculty meeting. Of course, it was a Zoom meeting. And you kind of catch up a little bit again with your department and with what's happening at the college. And this coming week it starts again, and I got 3 classes. One of them almost didn't make, and they almost wanted to cancel it. And then I sent out a whole bunch of email messages, and it's still made. But I don't know. It was. There's a sort of anxiety level everywhere because of all the changes and low enrollment, and so I am also kind of in this organizing mindset, and I had to do some training to get better, which actually really benefited me. So I'm happy that I did that, and I'm now able to also organize my own Zoom meetings better. And it's not perfect, but I'm happy that I'm able to do it. And I've had also a couple of other Zoom meetings with other people besides school, which is going really well. And I'm happy about that. But when I was doing some of the training, I was also having to do an addendum for the student learning objectives, and that really helped me organize. All of a sudden, they were asking all these questions about, and it seemed kind of tedious initially that they were just asking you how you're going to achieve these goals online, you know, and so it really made me think, and it was actually inspiring to write about that. And so I came up with a couple of good new ideas, which I feel kind of happy about, that I'm going to do it like that. And so yeah, I tend to look at the global perspective, you know, what is it, the first one, that you are just observing, and but I can also be really analytical, and I like very much, Alex, I think you said that you look ahead for predicting contingencies or something like that. What was it now? You said something about that. What was it? Anyways, you avoiding contingencies you don't want. I something like that. I think that's a really good thing, and I try to be ahead of the situation and sort of just have a particular mindset also where you sort of just roll with it, and because you're dealing with a big group and you try to keep as many people engaged and informed also, and be very clear in your direction. So I'm still writing on my syllabi, which I hope to have done by this weekend. I better get going. I've been sort of postponing that, but it's just, I don't know. I just need to make a couple of arrangements to sort of just prepare it for this coming semester. No, that is that. So that also deals with strategy, I would say, and with organizing and putting into writing really clear directions as regard to late assignments. You know, people need to know that stuff, and they need to know, okay, so that's the policy. And even though it's really weird, you know, I let students submit their assignments throughout the semester. And it's weird how that creates confusion because they're not used to that. And I keep telling them, I said, no, you can still submit it. You got to do the work, and I'm proud of you when you do. So, and then when they do, they feel good about it. And usually most students do actually most of the work in my classes, remarkably enough. But yeah, so, but you have to sort of be specific about it and repeat it maybe a couple of times, you know. And so, okay, that's that. And so, I was thinking also about, what was it now? See contingencies in advance. Oh yeah, I wrote that down, tragedy. And then different attributes, initiative. Yes, I can just really see an opportunity and then all of a sudden jump into it. And I like to interact. And I feel in each of you, you have that capacity, you know. And I think that the ability to think on your feet and to problem solve and to, I like what you said also, Mary, that you have your own way. Of course, you have your own way. And you absorb other people their way into that, and you, as you go, you do what you need to do, which to me also is kind of like this initiative, you know, that you can make use of what happens in the moment, and so you know, these great ideas that you were talking about, I frankly, I don't believe in these great ideas. I think really like what matters is not so much the great ideas, but it's really like doing what is necessary and what the circumstance require. And I have real deep faith in being the best that I could be based upon my history of conditioning and everybody being also the best they can be. So to me, everything is actually how it's supposed to be in a weird kind of way. I don't know, you know, that's kind of like my understanding of behaviorism, that you know, that behavior can only occur if it can occur, and if it can occur, it will occur. You know, so I kind of like, that's where I stand on this. And so I always create opportunity for behavioral variability. And so that is that kind of goes together with this observing, also with allowing for conversation and allowing for to combine different theories and see how that can be approached from different perspectives. I like that about this, Alex. You hand us these different, you know, these different mindsets, which also relate to that. Tactics also, tactics. Yeah. Could you say a little bit about tactics again? I forgot what I wanted to say about that. Just a little, I don't know, just a little, I only read it here. Tactics.
Tactics combines organization and synthesis or creativity, and it redirects paths. It can repurpose what you have in clever ways that open up possibilities.
Yeah, that is, I like that ability to sort of just really be very cautious with what I'm giving attention to and what I am busy with at any given time. And to keep, it may sound maybe egoistic, but to keep being busy with what is important to me. And somehow that always seems to have the best effect. So, although of course you are dealing with others, but to the extent that I feel good about it, I just keep on going. Alrighty. Then we go to Abby again.
All right, it's gonna go back to Alex.
Oh, okay. Let's see. It's great to hear that all of you can see all the different things that you do with different mindsets, different attributes, different approaches to situations, and that the words can make it easier to see all of the different ways in which you are awesome. And let's see, we might have to go slightly quicker, although I like how we were able to see so much of what we're already doing. For the next question, it would be something that you see about how other people are using mindsets and attributes to solve different kinds of problems from the ones that you're already familiar with. So for instance, let's see, what would I say? I notice, yeah. I notice that people use organization mindset and initiative attribute. They use the initiative attribute of organization mindset to do things that I wouldn't even think to do, to see this is something that people need done, and I see how to bring together all the logistics, all the resources, and the people, and coordinate them together to accomplish this thing. So that's a way in which I've learned to recognize that people are awesome, even when it looks rather mundane. So this person is starting up a business selling a random item, but they had to notice that there was a use for it, and they had to figure out everything that went into it, and that it would be worth doing for themselves and for the people who ultimately would purchase that item. That's one way in which I see the awesomeness in other people using these concepts. I'll pass it along to Abby.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. So where I want to take my response to this is really in relation to where I've seen mindsets used during this, or and discussed and talked about during this circle. Because what it did for me was it made more real and like more palpable Alex's the concept he brought forth kind of as the overarching, which is the Ganunga gap. Did I say it right? And kind of the the catchphrase that everything begins where opposites meet. And I was like, as I was listening, I listened to listening to myself engaging in nonverbal behavior, and then Sheena, and then and using Mary as in contrast. And it was like, oh, okay, I see that, where it's like Mary is the, we'll just say like, on the right-hand side, and, Sheena and I might be more on the left-hand side of things. But the power really comes where those two, like where those things meet, and where it's like, I might not have a strength in synthesis or semantics, for instance. But if I have a friend or, a trusted colleague that has that strength, and I know that it's like, okay, I need to tap into that. And I have a little bit, I've got an understanding of the mindset, but it's not my like core competence. I can call, if I know the strengths and abilities of others, I can call upon them when needed. And so I just thought that was very, like, that was very cool to see that all come together during this circle. I was like, okay, like it makes, okay, it kind of, I feel like releases that burden of, I must myself strengthen this skill. Like, I'm weak in this area and I must do X, Y, and Z to fix that, versus like, no, that's just the way my brain works, and that's cool. And yes, I might, that's over time, I will develop these skills, but I'm only going to develop those skills if I have a good model. And if I have a good model of what that looks like by calling upon them, then I can kind of self like develop in that way. So so I thought that was kind of the connection that I wanted to share there. And I'll pass to, oh, Deepender dropped. So I'll pass to Sheena.
Okay. Okay. On the spot. Sometimes I like to really think about things before speaking because I want my words to be meaningful. But Abby, like, you're always so hard to follow because it's whatever, what you say really resonates. So I was thinking, the question is, how do you see other people using these mindsets? And so that just brings me to, at first I wanted to look at like, the political climate, or, but then I'm like, how about just my husband? That's really simple. I can look and I can see, it's a good, again, just as like an outward practice, he is definitely, and going to what you said, Abby, everything begins where opposites meet. So like when we are in a relationship with someone, or we have relationships with other people in the world, it's absolutely beneficial and informative to know how their brains work, and how, because for my husband and I we've been married for almost 13 years now. So it's almost like at that point you can almost know, you can predict the other person, how they're going to handle a certain situation, or, just by them, or know how they are when they walk into the room. But I'm anxious or I'm excited, I should say, to share this with him, and also see how I can apply it to my other relationships as well, and see how this can benefit all of us as we are traveling through life. I will pass it on to Mary.
I thought I would look at the example of my daughter, who is a self-published author, and in becoming relatively successful at quite a young age in that field, rejected the advice of her very wise parents. And I think that a lot of that had to do with her greater knowledge of how the world was changing than ours. And so it started out with observation. Like, she doesn't want to be traditionally published because her observation is traditional publishing is falling apart. It's pretty desperate. I mean, some types of books will continue to be traditionally published, and they should, but fiction, man, it's out there. And if you're a novelist, you should really be thinking about how to own that, you know, and how to own your own product, and how to recognize your markets. And so I saw her spending many years really in observation and trying to find the right questions to ask. And then testing her strategies. So I feel like maybe she was using a similar sort of mindset to the one I would use if I had the knowledge that she had, but I think she did a really excellent job of renegotiating goals under pressure. And I think that had she been sort of less intense in her desire to make this happen and less mobile, I mean, I think her thing would be that the whole benefit of self-publishing is the mobility, the ability to Facebook changes its algorithm, Amazon changes its algorithm, Goodreads changes its algorithm or gets bought by somebody. And you have to be able to react like that. And a traditional publisher can't. They can't react like that. They've got contracts, they've got, you know, agreements, they've got people on staff that are trained to do X, and they have no idea about Y. And so I think that she really tapped into this initiative and mobility attributes to strategize. And she used tactics, like she'll notice that there's something new, and then she will act on that. She also discovered that being on social media, which she thought was very important, was just ruining her life and mental health, and that it wasn't giving her time to write, and it was just destroying her emotionally. So she just got off of all of that. And she said, you know, and then observe, how is this affecting my sales? Not very much at this point. You know, do I have to be on Twitter? No, Twitter is the devil. I'm not going to be on Twitter. And so I think what I see is her, I'm just noticing like how she's used these different tools to get to a goal that I never understood in the first place, but I'm starting to understand because she explains, oh, well, see, I've got this plan, you know, I've analyzed it, and this is the plan I've come up with. Yeah. So again, like she and I wanted to go with somebody who's close to me, whose thought processes I get to watch over a period of time. And let's hear from Maximus.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, no, I feel kind of like you, Sheena. I also do not know what to say, because it is really true to hear other people speak about all these things so elegantly and so yeah, so thoughtfully and meaningfully. Yeah, sort of just leaves me a little like, what can I still add to that, or something like that. But it's kind of interesting that you would actually think that way, because we all have our thing to say. And actually, I was thinking that when you were saying that, Sheena, but I'm not thinking that when it's my turn. But that's because I find it sometimes really difficult to sort of just put myself in a particular mindset, so to speak. Yeah, this is also what I feel is kind of like, for me, what I'm learning from this is that you can actually put yourself in this particular mindset, and then with doing that, you basically see things differently based upon that alone. And you kind of also said that too, when you said that you need some sort of a shield or some sort of protection to sort of know that you feel okay with yourself. And yeah, and I think there's importance to that we have a particular mindset, so to speak, about what we're going to do, and how things are pretty much going to be, has to be kind of accurate in the sense that you kind of know what you're doing and what the parameters are within which you are doing your work. So, and then I find it always very useful that I don't do it all the time, but every time that I do have a particular predetermined mindset, works out really well. And so, and sometimes it seems to me like it's kind of gimmicky, you know, to have a particular trick. You know, Abby, you were just referring to that. You know, you were saying like, yeah, I got a bunch of these tricks, but you know, like, I don't know, if I can talk with my students about the fact that their behavior have consequences and that these consequences are caused by their behavior. Students go like, oh, I've never heard that. Well, yeah. And you can change, you can be happier if you have behavior which leads to these other consequences that you want, and you can stop that behavior which gives you consequences you don't want. You know, so that's just a simple gimmick, but hey, it works. You know, and it works every time. And but then again, there's other people, of course, who require I don't know, a certain kind of level of, I don't know, intellect, or a certain kind of I don't know, sophistication, if you will. And I sometimes feel like, yeah, I cannot engage everyone. I can only do so much, you know. And it kind of goes right back to what you also said, Abby, about, yeah, you're just being yourself, and you can only do so much. And it also goes with what I said previously too. Like you do have your own history, which has brought you to where you are now, and but adding something onto it, and what feels good, and what you sort of learn, and you say like, hey, this is actually cool, you know, I'm gonna do that more often. So thank you very much. For me, that has to do with also with intensity, you know, and creating a bigger platform for, I don't know, whatever I have come to know. What I like to share with other people, because I like to teach, you know, I like to be with other people, and I like the whole kind of process of interaction, and you know, that's for me a very important part of the teaching. And so I look forward to it getting started again, even though I still have to do some work, but that's all right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Maximus. And thanks, everyone, for sharing what you see about how people use these. And it is something that takes practice. I still haven't gotten the hang of noticing when people use a mindset and fully appreciating, oh, that person's thinking, and they have built up some skill with this particular situation. But every time I do that, I think, oh, that's it's what the rationality community calls mundane magic. Suddenly, everyday things seem a lot more impressive when you realize just how much goes on in people's heads to make them happen. And so you've got a few minutes left here, so I can segue into what our next meeting is going to be about, which is the flip side. It's going to be, where do we see where we and other people are encountering situations and we're not using what we need to use. We either haven't built up the particular attribute or mindset, or maybe we need to bring in somebody else to help us. Maybe other people keep running into the same problems over and over again because they don't know there's another way to approach the situation that would work better for them. So that's what our third meeting is going to be about, is these gaps between what we want and need to happen and what we can do, what we bring to the table in order to make it happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. And thank you, everybody, for your contributions. I think this was a really powerful discussion, and you know, got me thinking more deeply about the mindsets, and I look forward to going through this next week and really trying to, you know, use that observation mindset with the others that I have in my life, because we're, you know, we're going into full bore in service week this week, getting ready for the beginning of the school year. And there will be lots of mindsets being used and or not used. So I look forward to seeing what I can discover, and hearing what you all discover as well this week. So just to wrap things up, again, if you want to stay on a little bit afterwards for a short social time, that would be wonderful. If not, we'll sign off. And thank you, Alex, for helping us continue this conversation and learning about mindsets and attributes, and kind of how this foundational toolbox for life really applies to everything, and how we can work to develop those skills. So thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we hope to see you again next week, when we'll take a deeper dive and consider where we're not using these mindsets, when we might be needing to, and others, and how we could make some changes in our own lives to use them better. So thank you for joining, and we'll see you next weekend.